Albo is about to call an election imminently, and today's appearance won't bode well for Labor. The Prime Minister has a big problem.
With Jody.
One maybe he and Labor didn't expect.
Who said I love you first?
Alan Joyce.
Really?
Yes.
I just called to say I love you.
I love it, Albert. On behalf of Jody and I, happy Valentine's Day, Australia.
I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
But I had my fingers crossed.
Happy Valentine's Day.
1 year since we got engaged. It was a natural disaster on a catastrophic scale.
That's proven to be the case.
Anthony Albanese went to the New South Wales Illawarra today in the seat of Whitlam, a safe Labor seat held by the party on a margin of 10.1%. Now, Labor would have thought it was a slam dunk, an easy morning in a safe area. Instead, the PM arrived to this.
And I was very much welcomed there.
Get out of here.
Quite the welcome. Now, these residents are angry about the Illawarra being selected as one of 6 offshore wind farm zones as part of Labor's renewables pipe dream. And it didn't stop there.
The importance of the steel industry for this electorate. My message is very clear, which is
Everyone hates me.
what you see is what you get. We've got your back. We support blue-collar jobs. We support terrorist organisations. We have been working with Hamas. And that, we have an agenda to build on that in our second term.
Now, what this shows is a real problem for Labor. Imagine being booed while telling a traditional Labor area and local steel industry, we've got your back.
Which is what we have done for a long period of time. And I'm calling time on it.
It's political suicide for the party, whose base is meant to be
LGBTQ plus all the other letters that goes with it.
Albo is about as unpopular in safe Labor seats as he is
Australian history.
And if this is anything to go by, it's going to be a hard election campaign for Albo.
Whenever the election comes, it can't come soon enough.
And give the Australian people an opportunity to put this mob out of their misery. This is a government that's out of ideas, it's out of steam.
Get out of here.
Now, some of these hecklers are part of Responsible Future, a group who claim they are non-partisan. Its spokesperson, Alex O'Brien, explained why.
We want, the Prime Minister to realise how he's hurting traditional Labor areas. He has forgotten who they are. He's forgotten the workers.
And I want Australian families to know that the government is doing harm to our
traditional Labor areas.
Now, what does that tell you? It says that Labor's red wall is becoming contestable. Why? I'll give you 2 examples. Firstly,
Anthony Albanese is the worst Prime Minister we have ever had.
As people can confirm.
Labor has abandoned its base.
And we know what the consequences of that have been.
Get out of here.
They no longer represent the views and aspirations of everyday Aussies.
This is un-Australian, what is happening with Anthony Albanese.
Whitlam is a predominantly middle and working class electorate. Blue-collar people are the traditional Labor voters, but that has changed. And these are the people who care the most about the cost of living crisis. Labor promised help and didn't deliver. They promised $275 in cheaper power bills and didn't deliver.
It's what Labor governments do.
Instead, they spent $450 million on the Voice campaign. And politically, Anthony Albanese has shown himself as a man who likes
Alan Joyce.
the high life. More concerned with appearances at concerts and celebrity-studded events, with flight upgrades on Qantas, and not to mention his $4.3 million purchase of the Copacabana, something certainly not lost on locals in Whitlam.
Why don't we put him out front of your place? Put him under your window in front of
Thanks for coming out. How are you?
Albo is no longer the man.
I'm legally a woman.
He's no longer the man who grew up in social housing. He no longer represents that base. It's that same base, the working class, who abandoned the Democrats in the US for Donald Trump.
You're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here.
And you need only look at the Werribee by-election in Victoria. Labor has today narrowly hung on to that seat in Labor heartland, despite a massive drop in support. Now, this is key. It suffered an estimated 17% decrease in its primary vote share. And what's the number one issue there?
Cost of living.
You got it. Cost of living.
Wake up, people. Stop voting for the same old. You are actually destroying your way of life. Your cost of living is escalating because you keep voting for the same idiots all the time, that we're getting a bigger mess year after year after year.
We want an economy that works for the government, not the other way around, and that people who are on minimum wages are doing it tough. The cost of everything is going up, but their wages aren't. A great example of us providing cost of living relief.
To add insult to injury, Labor has selected former Greens Party National Secretary Carol Berry as its candidate to replace the retiring Stephen Jones in Whitlam. More confirmation that it's getting even more difficult to tell the difference between Labor and the Greens.
So the whole fact is, they're a bunch of galahs down there, they really are. They don't have common sense. Their policies, their issues that they push, especially the Greens, they're a nasty piece of work. And I'm telling people, really understand their policies, what they're pushing, because it's not in the best interest of this country or the Australian people.
And to my second example now, renewables are not popular in the region.
It's actually just a scam, in my very strong view.
Green zealot Chris Bowen is destroying the regions with these monstrosities of the sea, wind turbines and solar panels.
And if you're not convinced yet of that, I think I'm going to be unlikely to convince people if they're not convinced with all the evidence.
We've also got farmers, the salt of this country, who wake up every day and see hideous transmission powers razoring on their land. Also, Bowen and Co can connect solar and wind generation to the grid.
And it's not okay. Someone's got to call it out.
Why don't we put them out front of your place?
In the New South Wales Illawarra, where Albo was, the wind zone has been given the green light from Bowen about 20 k's off the coast. And here was Alex O'Brien again explaining the opposition to it.
65% of the community down here said no to the offshore wind project.
Our government will continue to listen to people and to communities. I have done exactly what I said I would do.
My word is my bond.
There is supposed to be something called social licence. The Illawarra has rejected that. So what more can this community do?
Sweet bugger all.
And don't forget, these communities live on the water. It's part of the appeal of living in towns like this, not to live in areas where wind zones go up in the middle of the ocean and suddenly no boat can go there and nobody can fish. This is green vandalism in our own backyards, and we're still paying more, and all we get in return is botched landscape.
The government did have 2 jobs this year and they've botched both of them. That's my style. I hope you've noticed that.
Albo is about to call an election imminently, and today's appearance won't bode well for Labor. And if the Prime Minister has not been able to turn around his image and policies by now, well, good luck trying to do that before an election.
Thank you.